Is this thing on?
Well, how's it going? We're back for season 2. Well, how's it going? Well, how's it going? I am. That was a terrible start. I apologise.
How's it going? Welcome back.
Well, how's it going?
Thanks.
That was terrible. That was so bad. Well, how's it going? Well, how's it going?
Well, how's it going? I'm not Ben. I'm Christian. I'm doing the intro.
Well, how's it going? Well, how's it going?
How's it going? We're back. Season 2.
That was good too. That was actually good. Well, how's it going? My name's Ben Spiteri. I am here with Madison Phipps and Christian Karamanich, and we're here to talk about the budget.
The fucking budget. That's the energy we're bringing into this episode, just in case anybody's curious.
Oh, I wasn't ready for that.
We're a little bit
Oh,
late. By the time you'll hear this, the budget will be about 3 weeks old,
No, week and a half.
week and a half old. Oh, so we're still fresh, hot press.
Yeah.
We're recording this 2 days after the budget released.
Yep.
And this episode should go up another week and a half from now.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
It'll be-
You were right. I
2
was like,
weeks.
I swear it was 3 days ago.
no, it'll be
But-
2 weeks after the budget drops. This episode
Yep.
drops.
Yep.
But look, it's not that long. Everything will still be relevant anyway, and we are
100%.
ready to fucking rip in. Well, I am anyway.
Well,
These guys.
he's,
Well, yeah,
he's ripping
same.
and a tearing. Get in the comments now. Let us know what you think about the budget.
Oh, mate. You know what? I'm going to start us off by saying it is a generationally terrible budget. Like, one of the worst.
Please
Yeah.
elaborate.
Did
One
you
of the
guys watch the commentary on Sky News after the budget?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you should have. You would have loved it.
Just ripping in?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah. That's
You
what I'm
should've
about to
watched
do.
it.
Yeah, no, rip in. I
don't see
I'm
it. There's
interested.
no point dilly-dallying.
I'll be honest. I haven't gone through in depth. I've read a couple of things. I've heard a couple of things. So, like, I
My
want.
husband made us like stop everything in the house.
I did watch
I wasn't
parts
really
of
clean, and he was like, "Sit your ass on the lounge and watch it." I'd like get
Really,
up to
it's
go do
part of
something.
your job.
He's
Like,
"Sit."
that's CPD. Really.
Yeah, they're done. I might just tell them.
You know, I didn't even watch it live.
I watched
I
it
was
live.
I was out with my grandfather.
we had
Okay,
the
you
TV
don't
ready.
really need to watch it
No.
live. Like, it's going to be there. You know.
Yeah, ain't going anywhere.
My husband treated it like it was
It's
an
like watching.
election.
The footy's on. The result's going to. You know the result at the end.
Yeah. Well, mate, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through all of the keys. So obviously there's heaps of stuff they put in there. I've just noted down some of the key ones, the
Yeah.
big takeaway points. I'm going to list them all first, and then we're going to go back and elaborate on them individually. So no need to weigh in and go crazy on them straight away. We are going to circle back to every single point that I mentioned here. Cool?
Yep.
Cool.
Cool.
Happy
All right,
days.
I'll zip.
First off, negative gearing.
Biggest one.
Rest in peace. See you later, negative gearing. It's been nice knowing you. It's gone.
She'll
Say
be
goodbye.
back.
Kiss it goodbye. Next, capital gains tax discounts. Also, kiss it goodbye. It's gone. Those were the two headlines at the end of the day. They're
Yep.
first on the list because they were these two single biggest points
Yep.
and the two single biggest
Can we
changes.
just
They
take
were
in?
the two biggest political lies.
I know we're going to
Oh.
circle back, but I saw this TikTok today, and it was literally just the Labor government for the last like 12 months, and like so many clips being like, "We're not getting rid of negative gearing."
My
We're not
favorite is the
getting
one of
rid
Albo where he goes, for the 50th time,
Yeah.
we are not touching negative gearing. How hard is it to understand? Like,
Yeah.
Pretty hard, clearly.
anyway,
Pretty hard.
the next thing on there, $250 tax offset for working Australians.
Oh, how good. My grocery shopping for the 1 week sorted.
It's not even a,
That's the kind of energy we're bringing into this episode.
that's
guys.
not
He's
even a
rolled
trip
up.
to the ATM for Christian.
Oh, you can't say that on a podcast.
Yeah, we are.
man. I won't drag you down with me. It's all right. I'll take it. I'll cop it on the chin. Major increase to defense spending. I found that one very interesting. I think it's very telling.
Yeah.
They feel they need to spend more on the military. But anyway, we'll come back to it. Reining in NDIS overspending and crackdowns on the fraudsters. Again, very interesting one. We'll circle back to that. Gas companies have still somehow managed to dodge tax.
Absolute joke.
I don't know how that's happened. They are still not putting a tax on these massive mining companies who are exporting everything offshore. But anyway, incoming migrant numbers are going to remain pretty steady. No major change there, which I
Yeah.
also found interesting considering how much politically that's been talked about lately too. I thought there'd be some movement there, but there
They've
was
got to
none.
bring in more voters.
Yeah, well, I don't know where you're going with that. We'll circle back to that too. Let's put a pin in that. We'll come back. Changes to private health insurance rebates.
Yep.
The main issue is it's going to cost old people more money.
Mhm.
That's the really short answer on that.
Oh, no. The boomers have to pay more.
They'll have to sell one of their 17 investment properties.
I saw this an article
not-
today.
I'm
Not
salty.
all boomers are rich, Christian.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not. It's their own fault. They should be.
They should be, yeah.
What do you mean you didn't buy 14 properties when they were at $10,000 each?
It's your own
Idiots.
fault. Lots of other minor bits and pieces, but those are the headline items. That's what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah.
They are the biggest items.
They're the biggest
I will
items.
add one to that as well,
Tell
is
me.
the discretionary trusts have been pillaged.
Yes. I didn't go into that in detail, but I was going to touch on it as part of the investment stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Because it does tie in quite nicely with the whole capital gains tax discount.
Yeah. Guess who
So-
opened one in the last 3 months?
There's a
Did you?
subheading.
Yeah.
You never told me that.
Yeah. I did. We had a conversation and you said you probably didn't need to have. Anyway. That's,
I didn't know you'd opened it. I remember you saying you were.
Yeah,
thinking
no,
about
we
it.
did
I
it.
didn't know you actually
did
ended up
it.
doing it.
Yeah. It would have been nice to get a heads up from the government. So that
We
was
have
$2
a
grand well
subheading in
spent.
here, and it just says Kara's thoughts.
Yeah,
What
that's
an
the-
absolute crock of shit.
Yeah. I've got that on. So the way I've set this out is I've got the really, proper, unbiased, just factual recount of
Mhm.
what they've said. And then on each category, I've got my thoughts on the matter.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I think is really
No,
relevant.
it's good. Kick us off.
So
Let us-
negative
let us
gearing.
have it.
Let's fucking go. I'm ready. I'm ready to throw hands with this one. So
Thank God I'm over here.
negative gearing, just to give everybody some background, I want people to understand just the severity and extremity of this change. Negative gearing has been around since the 1930s, for those that didn't know. It was originally brought in during the Great Depression because there was not enough rental properties, and people, obviously, during the Great Depression was one of the worst times for cost of living ever. Probably worse now anyway, but let's not go there. And rent prices had skyrocketed. So as to try and rein those rent prices back in, they brought in negative gearing because guess what it did? All the people who did have money, it prompted them to go buy investment properties. And it did. It worked. It brought rental prices back into check in the 1930s during the Great Depression. It has been a staple since. It was very briefly canned in 1985
Yes.
by the Hawke government while Paul Keating was still treasurer at the time. 1985, they scrapped it. 1987, it was back in full effect. I just want that to be known. And it was brought back into effect because rents skyrocketed.
I think it
as
was
a
roughly
result.
about 30% increase in Sydney.
I
in that
don't have
period
the
of
exact
time.
figures, but it was the rents went up astronomically. And
Yeah.
so they looked and they went, we
No,
fucked up.
that's not going to happen again. $2 a week, they're estimating.
That's what they say. That is what they say. So the main thing is no negative gearing for existing properties purchased after 7:30 p.m. on the 12th of May 2026, commencing from the 1st of July 2027. So if you bought a property today, you can claim negative gearing up until the 1st of July 2027, and then you can go fuck yourself kindly. It's basically what the government has said.
If you already owned a property,
So this is the interesting thing, and this is what people are shitty about. Existing properties are being grandfathered, which means if you have a portfolio with 17 investment properties, you can continue to claim negative gearing on all 17 of your investment properties. But if I, as a young person, go and buy my first investment property, I can't claim any
The
negative
boomers
gearing.
just keep getting it, don't they?
Yes, Dominic, what's your question without your microphone where the viewers can't hear you?
that is a good question.
It can be converted. So if you own the property prior to the cutoff date and you can turn it into an investment later, you can.
So we've got one chance. All
That's
of
your-
us in this room.
That's your only chance. That's all you got.
We've got one chance
In
for
the
one
future?
property.
Is that the
Unless that's a
case?
lie. The only exception to the rule is new builds. So they have
Yes.
said negative gearing will continue only for new
Yeah,
builds.
because they just want to make us responsible for the lack of social housing, so they'll give it to you on new builds. That's about it, to promote you to keep building new
so there's
property.
a massive change that we're all serious about, all gung-ho. This is going to get young people into the market. But every politician that is of a certain age already owns an investment property. Not just politicians, but we're going to grandfather it. So really, it's only going to screw over people
I love
in
the
an
word
age bracket between
grandfathering.
20
It
and
sounds like, they
35.
make it such a nice word. Like, we're going to grandfather it. It sounds like a
Yeah.
cuddly hug.
It was
Cuddly hug.
it was a real half-assed way to do it. I don't agree
Yeah.
with what they've done at all. I don't think they should have changed capital gains to, or sorry, brain stopped working there for a second.
So what they've got, I will let you finish that thought, but I just want to finish the facts section and then we'll go into all of our thoughts collectively on it. The other thing I wanted to mention, just so people are crystal clear, the exact words from the government was they believe that this measure will lead to 75,000 first buyers entering the property market. They also note that they expect the measures to increase rent, as Ben mentioned before, by $2 per week. Moving forward, you can also, so what they're doing, they're scrapping the way negative, sorry, we probably should circle back even further. For people who don't know how negative gearing works, you own an
Check
investment
our old
property
episode.
and it runs a loss. If your property runs a loss, you take the amount of that loss and you use it to offset your taxable income. So if your taxable income is 100 grand a year, but your property ran a loss of 20 grand a year, it drops your taxable income to $80,000 a year. So you get a massive
I've
tax.
got some landlords that since I actually started working in real estate, their properties are still sitting there vacant.
Yeah, fucking oath.
Like 10 years.
They don't care.
They don't care.
And this is the reality. You sit there just let it claiming a loss.
Mhm.
If you're earning 300 grand a year, you don't rent the property out, but you claim a loss on it of 50 grand a year.
Mhm.
Big
You're
tax boost.
laughing.
Heck
Yeah. Look, this is more retail and commercial space, definitely not residential, but I have properties on my rent roll that have been sitting vacant there for 10 years.
Well, this one in particular is specifically just for residential. So commercial, there's no negative gearing.
Yes.
Very different kettle of fish. But the other thing I wanted to note on that, so currently the way it works, it offsets your taxable income. Moving forward, what will happen, any losses you make, you can still use it to offset future capital gains tax. So, but I think the exact way it was worked, where are my notes? I think it's only, I don't recall coming across how long you can hold those losses and carry them forward. I think Dom's putting up a 5. I think it's less. I think it's only 2 years. So if you run a loss for 2 years straight and then you sell the property for a profit, you can use those losses from those 2 previous years to lower the amount of your capital gain. So you pay less tax. But the comparison to that, it is so minimal compared to the benefit you get from ongoing negative gearing. It's mental, the difference. That's it. That's what I had. So we can go into, again, to Maddie's point on my notes, the first line of the Kara's thoughts section, it just reads, what an absolute crock of shit. I'm going to quote something called the Batuta Advocate, which is a satirical newspaper that I follow very religiously on Instagram, and they are fucking hilarious. The first thing they put out after the budget, the headline read, Labor to finally even the playing field for younger Australians by stopping future generations from using the same tax loopholes that boomers will be allowed to keep using. Which is literally the way I summed it up.
Exactly
I was talking to my dad about it last couple of days while I was doing my research and my prep, and I was saying, you know what it feels like? It feels like they've just pulled the ladder up.
Yeah.
So what they've done is instead of evening the playing field, they've said, well, we're going to make it look like we're evening the playing field, but you boomers, don't stress. You still get to keep your negative gearing. Everyone else, fuck it.
Oh.
And people will be very quick to come at me, I'm sure, to say, well, what's the alternative? How do you scrap it without somebody losing? You don't. What you do is you limit it. So my idea, and this is my solution, I hope I am quoted on this. I hope people look at this and go, that's a good idea, because I put a lot of thought into this. Instead of just scrapping it completely at this point, but grandfathering existing properties, which is bullshit, why don't we put a cap on how many investment properties you can hold at once that are negatively geared? So what that does is it allows young people like us to still use the same tools that the boomers use to build their wealth, but it doesn't take away from people who have existing properties either. Everybody wins in that scenario. Except unless you have 17 investment properties, maybe you might have to cut back a little bit and invest elsewhere. Boo fucking who.
But even if you're at that point, really, does it matter to you? Like, really, mum and dad investors, 90% of our investors market owns under 3 properties.
Yeah.
That doesn't reach that criteria anyway. If you own more than 15, 20 properties, is negative gearing saving you at that point? No, it's a benefit.
Well,
for
at that point, when you have a portfolio that big, what most people do is they buy through company vehicles or trust vehicles anyway, where negative gearing is not relevant.
Yeah.
So my solution and my suggestion to this was, don't get me wrong, negative gearing from an ethical standpoint, it is pretty fucked that they allow us to, any other investment you run a loss, you don't get rewarded for running a loss on an investment. It's called a shit investment.
Yeah.
So negative gearing as a principle in general, I don't fully agree with it either. But this is not the way to do it. The way to do it, in my opinion anyway, you take every single person who has investment properties, say you get 2 properties where you can claim negative gearing on. Every single investment after that, no negative gearing.
Yep.
That would be a fair way to do it, in my very humble opinion.
There aren't many people that get to that second and third property anyway. So if you're in that small minority, yes. And then if you want to go for the 4th, well, that's when you've got to sit there and make a decision.
Open a company. Do it that way.
Exactly
Simple.
Right. And at that point, you're generally doing it anyway. If your accountant's worth their dollar, you've already done that at that point. You're not doing it for one property.
And my other biggest issue with this, they've also claimed that this is going to help fix housing supply because it incentivizes new builds. I don't think this fixes the problem at all.
So didn't they indicate in that same statement that they're already forecasting we're going to build 30,000 less dwellings in the next 12 months or something?
We're still short by their initial projections when they were first elected. We're running well behind what they promised.
What was it? 2,500 even just our local council.
I can't remember the exact numbers. We spoke about it on a previous episode.
I think it was 2,500 a year.
It's just
look. There's too much red tape associated with all that anyway. I don't think new builds are the way to go with it.
People are already sketchy around new builds as it
Exactly.
is.
Well,
It's-
this is- well,
it's
this
not
is-
going to encourage them to do it. The builders and developers only win.
In theory, does this sound good? Yes, you're going to have more jobs of people building new properties, and you're going to have people buying them and potentially renting them out. But it's not. Not everything works.
Our
like that.
land is too expensive anywhere around where we live to
Exactly
buy
right.
land, and the people who own those 450 square meter massive land piles are overseas investors anyway.
Yeah.
They all own those massive parcels of land that they subdivide.
Got a topic. We've got it's one of my topics of conversation. I forgot to mention. Sorry, foreign investors.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Actually, we'll do that now before we go into CGT. I didn't know this. I learned something doing this research that a year ago, back in April 2025, our government brought in a temporary ban that stops foreign purchasers from buying existing dwellings.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
I only found that out.
That is such a
when
good
someone
measure.
tried to make an offer on a property who was a foreign investor. But yeah.
you know why I was so shocked? What a good fucking idea that is.
Yeah.
I don't often give our government credit. But how is this not trumpeted in the media more? What a great idea.
I don't think they
Because-
want anyone to know.
But one of the
We'll
biggest
just let them
issues
know
we
when
have.
they try.
Oh, but it's just crazy. One of the biggest issues we have in this country is foreign investors who snap up all the stock and they leave it vacant because they don't give a shit. What they've done, this ban, it was put in place a year ago. It basically stops foreign investors buying any kind of existing properties. And I can't believe I didn't know about it. It's a great idea. And they've extended that now until 2029.
Oh, it tells you that there aren't any foreign investors into political parties, really. Otherwise, they wouldn't have let that through.
Whoa. I'd argue there probably still is. But anyway, that was to your point about foreign investors. I didn't know this. And what a great measure. What a great idea it is. And I didn't even know about it. It's really flown under the radar.
It's even going to be more heavily looked at come 1st of July with LMI changes and rules that are going to come into play in real estate. Every single person that buys a property or from overseas or from any country has to be logged in a full-on online.
I thought they already were anyway when you buy a property.
Nah, not as
a
heavily.
non-resident.
Oh, maybe for you, but not
Now
real
we've got
estate
ID
agents.
buyers.
Maybe for you guys.
You
but
weren't
for
doing
us.
that to begin with
Why would you ID a
Why
buyer?
would we ID a buyer?
to make sure you're not selling to a terrorist?
No.
But why does that matter to us?
Why does it matter to us?
Not even from an ethical standpoint. What difference does it make? If they're paying for the property.
I actually have an anti-money laundering function tomorrow. Function, is that the right word?
Oh,
Seminar tomorrow.
I love all the AML
And one of the guys said, do you know there's $460 million in Australia that is currently being used for anti-money laundering? And he goes, do you think that that's a lot of money? And a guy in the seminar said, that's just Pitt Street Mall. And he's not wrong. Out of the whole of Australia and property, 460 million is just one shopping centre.
Peanuts.
That's probably what they know about. This is the issue, though. You know how much more there would be that goes under the radar? Their criminal enterprise is way bigger than 460 million. In this
Look, I
country,
don't think they're in
promise you that
Wollongong.
much.
No.
They ain't here.
There's a few.
I could be
but
wrong. But they ain't here.
We're gonna rein this.
Sorry,
back in.
we're going to rein it in. Sorry, thanks, Christian.
Capital gains tax. Capital gains tax. It's gone. Kiss it goodbye. See you later.
See you later.
So again, I'm going to circle back as far as I need to make sure everybody understands what we're talking about. Currently, you buy an investment property, you sell it after 3 years for a profit of $100,000 profit after all your expenses are covered. The way it currently works is you get a discount of 50%. So if your net profit is 100,000, you're only paying tax effectively on 50,000. They take 50,000, which is half, and they add it to your taxable income, and you pay your marginal tax rate at that basis. The way that currently functions, obviously, it's again you're only paying half. The fact that it gets added to your taxable income, a lot of sophisticated investors will then plan the sales of their property. So if I run my own business and I draw a wage, I can obviously draw whatever wage I fucking want. So if I know that I'm selling an investment asset in this particular financial year, I won't pull a wage. The same year that I sell it, I will make sure I don't draw a wage out of my company, and it minimizes my tax. You have greater flexibility. You could have a lot more control over how much tax you pay, which I'm not going to sit here and debate whether that's ethically right or wrong. That's the way the system currently works. It creates.
You've got to manipulate the system to the best of your ability.
As of the 1st of July 2027, that is gone. The way it's going to work now, it is basically they're calling it a cost-based inflation indexed methodology.
Sounds even more complex.
So what they basically are going to do from the 1st of July 2027, whatever profit you make, you basically pay the full tax on it. There's no discount, period. They were talking about lowering it to 30%. They've gone a step further and wiped all of it. There is no discount anymore.
Wow.
So if you make a profit of 100 grand, what they do, they take that profit of 100 grand and they first index it to inflation. So if you made that profit over 3 years and inflation over that period was 3% per year, they deduct that inflation from your profit. So it's indexed to inflation based on the initial cost of the investment, adjusted for inflation.
Yep.
So the discount you get is nowhere near as much as what you would have got under the old CGT methodology, obviously. And it just gets added to your full taxable income, period. Done. Basically, no discount anymore. Jam it. I wouldn't say I'm fully against it at the end of the day. Like, fuck, if you make a profit on something, you pay the tax. It is what it is.
It's like any other investment.
Yeah. Where my thing is,
Once again, though, it seems like it's the ladder's pulled up.
well, the area that I get pissed off with this is they've cited the reason for the change is properties and housing affordability in the housing crisis. But they've applied that change to all investment assets. That change applies if you're buying and selling shares or if you're buying a property. It just doesn't seem fair that you're getting taxed. A property is typically a very low risk asset. Shares are a much higher risk asset, or crypto or something like that. It's the same across the board. The other thing they've done is if you sell the asset and you cop the capital gains tax and it gets added to taxable income, but your taxable income with the gain is below a certain threshold, they've implemented a minimum 30% floor rate tax. So what that does is what I said before about people gaming the system, you can't do that anymore. So if you don't pull a wage and your capital gain for that year was 45 grand, typically at that level, at 45 grand, your marginal tax rate's like 20% or something like that. They've put the minimum at 30. So you actually end up paying more tax. What that does, again, it stops people gaming the system as much, but it also hurts a lot of people. If you've got, for example, older retarees who have like one investment property and they want to sell it so they can live again, they're obviously not pulling a wage. They're on a pension in most cases. And they sell that asset, or maybe they have super, but they're only pulling out a little bit of amount. They're going to end up paying a lot more tax than they otherwise would have. Interesting. The other thing is it's also really complicated because it starts from the indexation method starts from the 1st of July. What if you've held an asset before that? So what they do is as of 1 July 2027, if you have an investment property, you should go get a valuation done because you're going to be expected to show the government how much you paid when you bought it, plus all your costs moving forward.
Yeah.
And then you have to calculate what it was worth on the 1st of July 2027. Yeah. And then you pay the 50% methodology for that period. And then you hold the asset longer beyond that date, and then you go under the new methodology. So you're now going to have to, your accountant's going to have to work overtime to figure out what your fucking capital gains tax is. The other really interesting thing that I thought, also, sorry, before I move on from it, the whole new build methodology, it applies here too. So if you are doing this with a new build, so you buy something brand new, you can choose whether you want the new method or the old method. Obviously, you take the fucking old method unless you're an idiot.
Why the hell would there even be a choice?
I don't know, man. But yeah, that's the way it basically works. The other thing I wanted to mention, which is really interesting, is previously there has been an exemption. So CGT was only brought in, I can't remember when it was. I think it was in the 80s. I don't know. It wasn't always around, capital gains tax. It was brought in, I think, in the 80s or the 90s from memory. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. But if you've held an 85, thank you. If you've held an investment asset prior to when they brought in capital gains tax and you sold it now, you wouldn't have to pay any capital gains tax. It's grandfathered. That now changes because if you hold that same asset, as of the 1st of July, all investment assets held go under that new cost-based inflation indexation method. So currently, if you've held the same asset since 1984, you have no capital gains tax when you sell it. Zero. If you sell it before the 1st of July. If you hold on to it past 1st of July, you then have to start paying capital gains tax based on what the value is on 1 July versus when you sell it.
Sell now, guys.
Give us a buzz.
Give us a buzz.
I don't think it affects them that much. And I think there was a lot of uproar that this is going to have a huge influx of what's going to hit the market. I personally don't really see that it's going to do much. No. I don't think it's going to force anyone into selling. The only people, I take that back. The only people that would seriously consider it if you are retiring in the next 3, 4, 5 years and the plan was to sell it in 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, you're better off just doing it now.
Yeah,
is that going to be a huge influx in the market? No. Is it going to, maybe give that small percentage of first home buyers that may not have been able to buy? Yes, but they probably would have been able to buy anyway. So has this affected them? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
What I've got here in my little Karis Thoughts section.
Oh, I love Karis.
We love Karis Thoughts.
We find him on Tinder as well. He's Karis Thoughts.
I will not comment on these allegations.
You should make these your hinge prompts.
Let's not go into my dating profile. Nobody needs to see that. Nobody wants to see that. This one, I think, actually does a better job of balancing the scales towards young buyers trying to enter the market than negative gearing changes do. And that's because from the 1st of July, it is the same for all investors, regardless of how long they've held their asset. Currently, the way the current system works is people who have had it for longer than 30 years, they're rewarded. 40 years, I should say. Before 98, they're rewarded because there's no CGT.
Yep.
This stops that. It says, well, no, don't care how long you've held the asset for. You're all paying the same fucking tax now. So I think this one to me is a lot
more fair.
fairer than the negative gearing
100%.
change because it applies to everybody evenly.
Yep.
That being said, the CGC system was used by so many people to get a leg up in terms of wealth creation. So as much as the new measures apply to everybody equally,
they've already had their opportunity.
They've had their chance to milk the system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We are not going to have that same chance under this new system.
Yeah.
And that's where my kind of issue comes in. Because the reality is this doesn't take away from the boomers. If they've got a property portfolio of 7 fucking properties, all that happens is when they sell them off, they pay a little bit more tax. It doesn't matter.
You've already built your wealth.
This is the
at
thing.
That stage,
Obviously, it probably will hurt mum and dad investors more. Don't get me wrong, and there are a lot of those too. But again, if you've got 2 investment properties and your principal place of residence, and you've worked your whole life, you're probably set up for your retirement.
Yeah.
So when you go to liquidate them, if you have to pay a little bit more tax, is it really going to completely fucking?
Is it going to force you to sell it now? Probably not either.
No, you're better off. You're probably better off holding it anyway.
Yeah.
Because then you have the grandfather negative gearing.
And
so
you're going to have capital growth coming out of your ears, hopefully, in the next 5-10 years.
Anywho, $250 tax offset.
Yes.
We're really excited by this one, guys. The government's going to give you all $250 extra.
He's so energetic tonight.
I know. You think he'd had a drink or two or something.
It's not that. I just hate.
I was going to say something else.
I just hate it. It's not. It's none of
He's
that.
already spent his $250
I was
from
going to say maybe
It's not enough.
Maybe one of the hinges.
It's not even
last
enough.
night.
I wouldn't
To Ben's
know.
point, it's not even enough.
I wouldn't know.
So bad. It's just so bad. Anyway, they've called it the Working Australians Tax Offset, the WATO.
Thank God we've been rewarded with $250.
And they've claimed it's a way to redistribute the additional taxes collected from investors because of the other 2 measures we mentioned before.
So when do I get my check in the mail?
2027. It's literally just it's all they've done is they're just increasing the tax-free threshold.
Yeah.
It's
That's
literally 10 coffees by the time 2027 rolls around.
You just pay
actually
money.
10
You pay less tax. But the way they've marketed it, they have said that in conjunction with all the other measures they've already brought in, because they've already passed tax cuts, apparently, the average Australian will likely be saving an extra $2,800 per year by 2028.
Fantastic.
So spend it all at once.
Fuck, it's half a mortgage repayment.
That's a night out at dinner.
Half of one.
That's a good dinner.
My thoughts here is there's not much to say. It is still at the end of the day extra money in the pockets of average Aussies.
You're so optimistic, Cara. I love it.
Deficit of billions of dollars, really. Let's just take $250 out each.
Well, the reality is it's good. It stimulates the economy and it stimulates spending, which is good for economic activity. Not great when we're currently battling inflation again.
Yeah.
So,
does it just rise interest rates again? It's fine. It's simple. Simple answer.
Do we need more stimulus right now? I'd argue probably not. I'm sure they have their forecast based on when this all comes into effect. It'll be rah. But it's just like people aren't really worried about the extra $250 right now.
It did seem like one of their major marketing points. Like, yes, we're spitting in your face for.
But he's $250.
But he's a working class special for it.
Yeah.
Let me spit in your face.
It's almost like it's actually laughable.
Yeah, it did seem a bit like that.
It's laughable.
Yeah.
Defense budget. This one's interesting, at least.
Yeah.
This one I found really interesting because I talk about foreshadowing and signaling, right? If the government feels the need to spend more money on the military, what does that tell you about the state of the world? I would argue, probably not so good.
I'd probably say the last 6 months have been a major
ScoMo scared
push for that.
Did you say ScoMo?
Yeah. Why not?
Elbow.
Why did I say ScoMo?
Elbow.
I just want a photo of ScoMo above my head. Oh my God, Albo, ScoMo. We've got to stop giving him these Aussie slang nicknames. They all sound the same.
That one needs a drink. I'll cheers to ScoMo.
I just want a photo of ScoMo over my face.
Anywho,
I agree.
$53 billion over the next decade is what they're spending. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. I'd personally put it on black and buy the extra submarine, but who am I to judge?
Any idea what
Uh,
what percentage or how much of an increase that was?
Yes, I've got that in my stats. If you wait a second and bear with me a little bit, I'll get there. This will increase from 2.8% to 3% of total GDP by 2033, using NATO's definition, which includes pension payments to veterans. If you take that out, it's a bit less. But
Yeah.
So it's probably not that
well,
much. of
in
an
terms of
increase.
military
it's a lot
spending,
of money.
that is considered a decent size increase.
Yeah.
It's not huge. It's not like, oh my god, we're going to war, but it's a big increase, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the time to put it in.
Well, sorry, not going to comment on that.
As I said, ScoMo scared.
My only thought here was makes you wonder what the hell they're planning for. Realistically, I mean, I think.
Would you say it's probably? I agree with what you're saying. Is it telling of the times, but is it also probably on par with spending?
I think it's just grandstanding.
Mm.
I think it's a deterrent. You look around the world, what's
You
happening.
don't generally hear about military spending.
Well, if you turn
in this country anyway.
No, but if you look at where they potentially identify threats to the country, and you say to them, "Yeah, we're spending an extra $60 billion on our military," it's a bit menacing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's just more grandstanding and deterrence than anything else.
All right, that's fair.
Why can't we just do it in secret? We don't need to announce it.
But they don't get votes for that, Maddie.
Well,
True.
they're not getting votes anyway.
Yeah,
Actually,
true.
that's a lie. They're shipping them in. Keep going.
Oh. Let me get my tinfoil hat.
NDIS.
NDIS. This year's budget aims to massively rein in the National Disability Insurance Scheme, which is now costing $50 billion a year, 4 times more than originally predicted. It's gotten out of hand.
Sad. I actually feel bad about this one a bit because I think there's unfortunately too many people that are milking a system that.
Yep. It should never been privatized.
That was the only thing I had in my thoughts. My exact wording in my notes were how sad that something designed to help so many vulnerable Australians has been systemically abused to the point that they now have to roll it back.
Yeah.
I think it's disgusting.
I agree.
Have you guys been watching the dude on TikTok that
he's
goes
incredible.
around?
He's fucking incredible.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
pretty
him.
crazy. Hey,
Where's he going?
I want him Lakemba, Bankstown,
Yep.
all the hotspots where it's the worst.
Yeah.
I want him nominated for a knighthood.
Apparently,
For a
I got
knighthood,
told by an insider who works within the investigative community that he.
Why did you say that so weird?
I don't know. My brain's obviously not working. Hence ScoMo comment. He was saying that those parties that he's going around to are already under investigation. Like he's getting tipped off to go there. It's not like he's outing them for.
No,
but he's doing a good job of
He's
it.
doing a good job
But it's
bringing
also
awareness.
valid.
Yeah.
He's bringing
if he
awareness.
goes to a business who is listed as being a disability support business at 1:00 in the afternoon on a fucking Wednesday and they're shut up shop.
And haven't been open for
dodgy.
5 years.
Bit dodgy. I don't
Bit
know.
sketchy.
We're going to keep moving because we're burning through minutes here. To preserve the scheme's social license, the government wants to reduce its annual growth rate from about 10% down to 5 to 6% long term. Cost-saving measures include pushing more than 160,000 participants off the NDIS and back onto state-run support programs by 2030. So they're not just basically saying screw you to all the poor people who need this support. They're just shifting how they're going to provide the support realistically. The changes are projected to save the budget $37.8 billion over the forward estimates, while avoiding a $13 billion projected blowout over the same period. Obviously, there's also, and part of that is a massive crackdown on all the fraudulent activity. So the National Disability Insurance Agency estimates that up to 10% of payments are lost to things like overinflated invoices, organized crime, and incorrect payments.
Only 10%.
That's when you're talking about a $50 billion scheme. That's pretty fucking massive. It's $5 billion worth of fraudulent payments. It's huge. There you go. The estimated loss from those payments is $4.6 billion per year.
Wow.
Yeah. Gas companies and tax. This one's fucked. So they've been lobbying nonstop all year now to start taxing these massive giants who are basically they're pillaging our country and mining everything out of this country, exporting it offshore and paying no tax. So if you recall, the thing that sparked all this originally, there was a video of an independent senator named David Peacock. He went viral and he actually asked a government official to confirm whether the petroleum resource rent tax, the PRRT, was projected to raise less revenue than the beer excise. The official refused to comment, but lo and behold, it's true. Our government currently is collecting more tax on beer
It does.
than it is on mining.
Yeah.
speaks volume.
Can someone help me make sense of that? It doesn't. It's fucked.
It doesn't make sense at all, and that's why it's being absolutely hammered at the moment.
To put that into numbers, the PRRT, right, is projected to bring in $2.3 billion. That's an increased estimate from last time. The beer excise is $2.8 billion. It's not even a small amount. We're talking $500 million difference more on beer that we are taxed. The government, I will say, the only thing that somehow gives them a little bit of saving grace back, they have introduced a gas reservation scheme where it forces these companies to sell a minimum of 20% of the product back into the Australian market.
Great.
They're still making money off it. They're still not being taxed.
They're still making absolutely ridiculous profit off this.
My Kara's thought for this one was, as an avid beer drinker, I am disgusted by this behavior. I really am.
Doesn't pass the pub test, as they would say.
Absolutely fucking not.
Yeah.
We're not going to dwell on that one too much because it burns me to the fucking roof. But anyway, migrants, there's no real change here. I don't want to comment too much because that's a very politically loaded issue.
I think we move on from this one pretty quick.
I don't think we're going to dwell on that one too much realistically. Basically, they're not changing the migrant numbers.
Kara.
They're going to bring in the same number of migrants they did last year. That's basically the extent of it. They have said they're going to prioritize people who are already here and giving them permanent residency. And the ones they bring in, they have stated they're going to prioritize skilled workers. Okay. They've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah, they've been saying that. No comment. Stop.
No comment.
Yeah.
We're going to stop. Last one, health insurance changes. So the short version of this is the rebate the government has been giving out for the last couple of years. It was the amount of the rebate was higher for older Australians. So it was higher for people aged 65 to 69 and then higher again for people over the age of 70. All they've done is rolled that back and said, no, the rebate's the same now for everybody. That's it. It sounds a lot worse when the media fearmonger it saying old Australians are going to pay more. The older Australians are the ones who have the more fucking money anyway. If they can afford private health insurance at their age, they can afford to pay a little
need
fucking
more healthcare.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really have anything to add here. So for the majority of Australians, nothing changes. It literally is no fucking real change. Where the money that is being raised, I will say, is being reinvested back into healthcare anyway, in a couple of ways. So first off, there is extra funding for free RSV vaccines for over 75s and for Indigenous Australians over the age of 60. So that's good. Brilliant. They've also massively increased funding.
Again, for the boomers.
Well, they're the ones that need the vaccines. If they're vaccinated, the less chance they're going to leech off our healthcare system.
But really, just the flu? Like not their cancers and...
Well, RSV is the big one at the end of the day.
Yeah,
like that's the one that they generally get hit with the hardest and the most often because it's so frequent they have bouts of it. They also are increasing funding for more aged care beds.
They need that.
We fucking desperately need that.
We've got a very much aging population.
Oh, bad. And they've also backflipped on a cut that they previously proposed, which is going to cut funding for some of the at-home care services they provide. So, again, this is all stuff that slips under the radar in this budget because of all the negative gearing. Everyone's hell-bent on negative gearing and CGT, but these are good things. They are basically, as far as I'm concerned, lowering that rebate for older Australians. The over 70s who can afford private health insurance are generally the ones who they can afford to probably pay a little bit more, and they're not going to.
It's not going to affect.
They're not going to be hungry, and they're reinvesting that money into things that help these people anyway. So I'm all for it. I think it's great. I think it's one of the.
They're moving it sideways, aren't they?
Really, but I think it's better. It's better placed.
Yeah.
Because those kind of services, the free vaccinations and the at-home health services, that is also utilized by Australians who can't afford the full premium private health insurance either. So I think that's overall a pretty good thing.
I agree.
That's everything I had. Sorry, as you can see, I've been very animated.
You were very hot on that one.
I feel very.
I reckon you should have delivered the budget.
It wouldn't have been good if I did.
How boring was the? Mr. Speaker will be yada 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 yada.
Order in order.
Oh my God.
What was the word they kept chanting throughout the budget?
I didn't watch it. I don't know. I still haven't seen the video. I didn't watch it.
They chant something like "Here I," like something.
What is it?
Here,
yeah. Something.
Here, or something.
They all agree. Yeah, they're all like agreeing with
Michael
it.
Jackson.
Politics is like a cult.
Oh my God, it was like a cult watching it. Yeah, but Sky News. I want you to go back and watch the Sky News commentary.
You have to show me afterwards. I haven't seen it, but I mean, could it have been any worse than what I just did?
No, you were pretty good.
This guy was
so
smashing.
Overall out of 10.
This is probably the worst budget I've seen in my adult life.
Wow.
And I'll say that confidently with my chest.
Would you predict that in the next couple of years coming, they will revoke
some of those things?
If the Liberal government
Yeah.
get in soon at the next election, I think they will immediately roll
It will
back.
be immediately.
I reckon One
immediately.
Nation get in.
If somehow Labor, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
What'd you
please,
say?
oh my
I reckon
God.
One Nation get in.
No, don't say that. Sorry. We say we don't get political in this podcast. We're not getting political. But if Labor do somehow stay in power, it'll very heavily depend on what the statistics tell us about these changes. If it ends up being like it was in the 80s under Bob Hawke, where rents skyrocket
Mhm.
and it just goes to shit, Labor will reform.
I have
Rent
vendors.
skyrocket.
It doesn't actually
People see that really one of their major political promises they lied through their teeth about.
Lied their whole way through.
through their.
How do
fucking
they
teeth.
get back into power? How do they retain power?
Well, if it works,
The lack of trust.
this is the thing.
But it doesn't matter.
won't work.
It's just a
It's not gonna work.
lies.
All these people, all these boomers. All right, back to these mum and dad investors that own 2 or 3 properties. They're the main people on social media. No worries, I'm going to hike my rent up. Of course they are. They're going to recover their costs. Yeah, no
Why
worries.
are vendors
This is gonna
pulling their
reduce rent.
properties?
Well, no. So the reason they've structured the negative gearing changes this way is to stop people doing that because there is no extra cost. If you have an existing property, there is no extra cost.
They'll do it anyway.
It doesn't change. Your cost remains the same.
Rents will go up anyway.
This is the problem. They're not factoring in the fact that people are fucking greedy and they'll do it anyway. But
100%. That's the market.
Yeah.
It's a supply and demand issue. We don't have enough supply, so the demand is through the roof, and people can charge whatever they want.
And
when you have a service that is necessary, people are going to pay for it.
And this was my point about in my notes about negative gearing. It doesn't fix the underlying issue of housing supply. This doesn't build more houses.
It doesn't.
I'm sorry, it doesn't because
It doesn't.
We live in a country like you look at like your Japans and something like that are so centralized around major cities, and they build properties or skyscrapers that are 80 stories high, and people live in those conditions. We all want to live in central areas. People don't want to move out to rural.
No, the issue is we still have this hang up with the Australian dream. In Japan, people they build up. They don't have the space to build out, so they build up, and people don't care. They're fine.
But people
here people have this idea of no, I'm not living in an apartment. I want to live near the city, but I still want a fucking house on 700
That's
squares.
what I mean. People want to be around the city, so we've got all that. We've got.
But they don't want to build up in apartments. That's the problem.
Exactly.
It's an issue of I'm all for being central. Keep it central. Happy days. But then you got to build up. We don't want to do that here.
And people are complaining about the cranes.
And then it's too high. Oh,
blocked my northern sunlight in my backyard.
I can't park on the street.
I can't see Bondi Pavilion. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
it took me a minute.
As you can see, I have a bit of a chip on my shoulder, and I feel like I'm justified in that.
That's okay.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I saw a good TikTok on TikTok where it was.
Thank you for clarifying.
It was taking the piss out of the situation, and it was like it was a club. It was a nightclub, and there was a bouncer at the door, and it was Albo. And inside was all people of an older demographic, and it was like someone in their 20s lining up to get in. Let all the old people in, and then he puts his hand up and he says, "Not for you, mate."
Yeah.
What about the one I showed last night? I sent to you last night.
That was a good one.
And it was the guy was like, "You're gonna make money? We're gonna take some.
Yeah.
You're not gonna make money? We're gonna also take some of that." He's like, "You're gonna buy a house? We'll take some. You're gonna sell your house? We're probably gonna take some.
You inherit a house from your parents. We're probably going to take that soon too.
It was literally. It just kept going. When this episode goes live, I'll put that TikTok
done
on the story. It was really good.
I will also say one final point from me. I just want people to understand when it comes to all these tax changes, it's twisted because we are I think we are the most heavily taxed OECD country, which is just nuts.
Let's move to Dubai.
Habibi, come to Dubai.
Habibi, come to Dubai. I'm coming.
Yeah, look.
I'm going.
You know what? I will backtrack a little bit on what I'm saying in the sense of we're all born and raised here, and I love this country. We're so lucky with what we've been given here, and I don't mind paying more tax as long as it goes towards the things that it should be going.
But
towards.
also that it's taxed fairly across the board. Like this country was built on working class citizens and fairness.
Fair go. Everybody having a fucking fair go.
And this is not a fair go.
And this is my biggest issue.
This is not a fair
go. The
go.
Intergenerational inequality that we have in this country is just obscene.
It unfortunately creates a mindset for people in our age bracket to say,
give up.
Give up. What's the point?
Give up.
Where am I going to build wealth?
Yeah.
Exactly right.
I had
like my parents did.
Family and friends turn around and just say, look, we've given up. It's never going to be for us, but we're just going to try for our kids.
Yeah.
I've had so many people say that, and that's just heartbreaking to just think that your life's just over, but you're just going to put everything into your children so they don't have to live like you do.
Yeah. It's shocking.
That goes back like hundreds of years.
Yeah, this country has a backbone of the Australian dream, like you said. People
Everybody
want to own
has a
their
fair
own
go.
home.
It's
Which,
not even that.
all
Just
right,
everybody having a fair go.
Maybe their meaning is correct. They were saying that they want people to own their own homes. They want more young Australians to be able to get into the market. But at the same time, what's the point of them?
Again, there are better ways to apply it fairly. I am not disagreeing with the fact that negative gearing is pretty ethically fucking questionable. I've never once disagreed with that. It's great as someone who has investment property, fucking awesome. Don't get me wrong. But from an ethical standpoint, if it was completely ripped out and it was done fairly, I don't think I would complain.
It would suck.
It would suck and I would feel it. But I would fully acknowledge the fact that, probably overdue. However, this is not the answer.
Just because you already had it, why is that? Yeah.
This is my issue. And again, I'll give you a solution. Put a cap on how many properties you can have that are geared.
Yeah.
Make it 2, because majority of Australians, mum and dad investors, which make up 90% of investors in this country, have less than 3 properties anyway.
Yeah.
Make 100%. It you have your PPR, your primary place of residence, and 2 investment properties.
That's it.
Days.
I think it makes people that already have one, for example, investment property, that is worth so much more to them now.
Yeah.
100%.
And it makes your primary point of residence.
His investment property from the market. We're about to go live, and he said, "Look, I'll just wait for Liberal to come in." And I was like, "Oh,
kill me."
Yeah.
But it also makes your primary point of residence worth a lot more in that sense as well. Is because
you can rent it out.
It gives you the tax break. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's probably where we should wrap it up.
Good.
Because we've been harping on for a while now. Everyone's sick of hearing our voices.
Send us a DM about the budget. We'd love that.
Rip in.
We'll read some comments out.
I'd love to read some comments.
How you think that it could be done better. We're open to thoughts.
Oh, I could not agree more.
On that note.
Ciao.
Thanks for listening.
Everything presented in this podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only, and all advice is to be considered general in nature. It does not take into account your personal circumstances and financial objectives. Please consider if this advice is right for you and look to consult a financial professional.